Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? Y'all, can you believe that we are actually on day five? Day five, y'all. You guys have been writing your books together for the past 5 days, and it has been an amazing experience. First of all, can I give a shout out to all of our amazing speakers, also our admins? I mean, morning prayer has been lit, the writing party. I can honestly say, y'all, I'm just gonna say this, please don't be mad, but I really feel like this has been one of the best ones out of the six writing challenges that we've done. This has by far been the best one. So as you are coming on in, I want you guys to, you know the drill. Say hey, say where you're coming from, where you're streaming from. Also, make sure you share. If you are in Write With Me, hey y'all, tag your friend if you're watching this inside Write With Me. If you're watching this on YouTube or Beyond the Book Media's page, please go ahead and share. This is a great topic. Let me know how long you've been with us. Have you been with us since day one? Are you just now joining or tuning in? Let us know because we have a great topic. We have destiny. And while you guys are coming on in, I'm going to say, hey. So, hey, Nadia. Hey, Carlisha. Hey, Kesey. Hey, Miss Serena. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Carmen. Okay, we got Florida. We got Georgia. Hey, Michelle. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Let me know in the comments if you had a chance to check out yesterday's let's see. Let me go ahead. If you had a chance to share out to watch yesterday's broadcast with J.A. Smith, and she started talking about target audience. And one thing that she said that just let me turn my volume down. One thing that what I really like, and y'all, I'm a whole digital marketer, like that's what I do. But she said something that really stuck out. She said, target the people that are going to share your book. I thought that was so good and just an amazing perspective because I didn't think about that when I wrote my first book. Honestly, I was just being obedient and I just did what God said do. And because I know a lot about marketing and digital marketing, I ended up, I don't want to say looking out. You know, sometimes we can do some things and I don't want to call it luck. God could just give us a lot of grace and favor and we don't really know how we were successful. And then you try to pull those same strategies the second go round and it don't work. Then you be like, oh my gosh. And it's like, nah, it's time to go learn some strategy at this point. So I'm very grateful. Carlisha, you said it was messing up for you, so you had to go do the replay. Go do the replay. It was good. Hey, Louise. Let's see who we got. Somebody from New York. Hey, Vicky. Nadia says you've been there since day one. Woo woo. Go ahead, day ones. Good evening, y'all. Go ahead and share. I'm getting ready to share right now, and then I'm going to go ahead and introduce our amazing speaker. Let me go ahead and share this right now. Okay. All right, so tonight, y'all, we have Miss Destiny Thomas, and she's talking about time management and productivity hacks. Now, I want to know in the comment, do any of you struggle with time management? Now, look, this is the place to be transparent. You cannot get your breakthrough if you are not honest with yourself. So let me know in the comments if you struggle with time management and staying productive. I'm going to be the first one to raise my whole hand, okay? Let me put up 2 hands because I know that this is an area that I struggle in. Although I'm a very high performer and I probably get a whole lot done in a lot less time in comparison to most people, but still I find myself saying, oh, I'm about to go do X, Y, Z. And before you know it, I done read every comment, every thread. I know who done did what. I done went and looked for the screenshots. I'm like, oh wait, I done been on Facebook for an hour. And then as a mom of 4 and someone who doesn't have a lot of time, right? Because a lot of us are mothers, entrepreneurs, we have jobs, we're wives, we wear a lot of hats. That whole hour could have been used for something else. So let's see who we got. We have all right, we got a lot of yes. I'm glad y'all telling the truth. I'm glad see because some of y'all be getting on here, be trying to act like y'all got it all together. And I'm gonna call you out. I'm gonna call you out because I'm seeing things now. Nikisa, what those crying emojis mean for me? Okay, Vernique says yes. Uh, oh, so Carlisha says she don't struggle at all. So hold on, we're gonna have you teach this next time. Nikisa, you got her name there because we're gonna put her up on the stage. We're gonna put her up on this platform because she need to be teaching us something. Kesey says she's guilty. Mary says yes. Christina says I struggle so hard with time management. All right, guys. So y'all in the right spot because I just know that Destiny is getting ready to share some information. So I'm gonna go ahead and read her bio and her information. If you are just now joining us, my name is Chanel E. Martin, and you are watching day 5 of the Write With Me 7-Day Writing Challenge speaker sessions. And we have the amazing, wonderful, anointed Destiny Thomas. If you are on here, we are giving you this information for free, but you want to know how you can sew into this broadcast with a share. So go ahead and pay us with a share. Click that share button. Tag a friend if you are in Write With Me. If your writing buddy inside of Write With Me is not on this, go ahead and tag them as we get right on to it. So Miss Destiny Thomas is an author, podcaster, infertility advocate, PCOS, and endometriosis. Hopefully I said that right. Prayer and discernment coach and motivational speaker. Destiny was diagnosed with endometriosis. Did I say that correctly? All right, perfect. And PCOS, and was told by her doctor that she would never experience the gift of birthing a child. So she neglected finishing her education and resented aspects of her faith and lost all concentration for maintaining financial independence. For years, Destiny filled the void of being a mother with uncontrolled credit card spending, fatty foods, and senseless vacations. God turned everything around for her on February 8th, 2015, with the birth of her son. Through that journey, she realized the importance in truly trusting in God. She was put to the test of trusting God when she began the journey of realizing destiny on October 21st, 2017, when God instructed her to leave her corporate job after 10 years of employment without a plan A or B. Hello, somebody. How many of you has God told you to do something? You didn't have no plans. You just knew, you know what? I'm just gonna be obedient. And that's how some of you guys are with your books. God done told you to write a book, and you're like, I have no idea how I'm gonna publish it. I don't know how I'm gonna sell it. I don't know anything about this book, but I know God has told me to do this. So through realizing destiny, God led her to become a prayer and discernment coach, also known as the Prayer Priest. First of all, let's talk about how she trademarked it. Okay, the Prayer Priest TM. Okay, you know you got to give folks their accolades. So don't y'all be going around talking about y'all prayer piss because y'all pray. Okay, she got that trademark. Assisting millennial women how to hear and allowing them to live out the plan and purpose God has for their lives and businesses. The host of her very own podcast, Realizing Destiny, and complete her very first nonfiction book and motivate and inspire and encourage thousands of women that are still battling the emotional roller coaster known as infertility. Now, how many of you guys can see yourself in any part of Destiny's story? I mean, she wears many hats. She's a mom, she's a coach, she's an author and a podcaster. She is a wife, right? But she's also dealt with times where she doubted what God had for her and she had to overcome that, okay? So I want to know how many of you guys can see yourself in her story, have experienced just any area in which you were struggling to hear God, right? And you want to know, how does that, you guys are maybe wondering, how does that tie into productivity and time management? Well, let me tell you what the enemy will do. When you are struggling to hear God, the enemy will come for you and put distractions in your way, and you will not be able to be productive in the things that he's called you to do. So not only is tonight's session going to help you to complete your book, but help you to stay on track, help you to stay focused, and help you to stay encouraged in all that God has called you to do. So without further ado, go ahead, Destiny. Let's jump right on in it.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it. And thank you for the intro. What I want to start off by saying is that, like you said, moving when God gives you an instruction is so, so important. I think a lot of times we're under the impression that we have all this extra time, or we can do it when we want to do it, but we're the same person that says God's timing is perfect. No, it really is perfect. And if I can be completely transparent, because I feel like we're all family now, with this second book that he's had me writing, I was really, really like putting it to the side. And we probably touched on it a little bit earlier this week, but it's because it was dealing with so many generational things that the Lord wanted me to break by bringing it up in that book. So it was very uncomfortable. And so I was kind of dragging my feet, and he kept saying, Destiny, I need you to have it done by this particular date. And because I dragged my feet, now I see why he wanted it done by that particular date, because this last 2 weeks has been extremely busy, and now I'm still kind of finishing the last touches of the book, and now it already has a pre-order date. So if I don't encourage you guys with nothing else, when he gives you a time, or when he gives you anything, just be swift to move and don't kind of sit on that.
Now that's really good. So for those, I share the story of how Write With Me started, and it was all with me being obedient and following God's timing. At the beginning of 2019, God told me to write a book, and I started writing that book, and that is literally how we have Write With Me. And we have a Facebook community of about 3,300 authors. Many of you, about over 5,000 of you, are on my email list. And this started just from a simple act of obedience, of moving in God's timing, right? That's also part of time management, because God is the father of time and he sees time. So he understands how you are supposed to navigate through time and how it plays into writing your book. He says, hey, you can write a book in 7 days, or come very close to having a good bit of it done in 7 days. But you are going to have to manage your time. So you can't put everything on, okay, God done gave me something and now it's just going to poof appear. No, you have to actually schedule out time. So I'm glad that you talked about that, Destiny. So let's jump right on into it. Do you have any particular things that you do? Well, first off, before we even get into that, I want you to tell people about like what your day-to-day life is like. Like you literally just said this book has been difficult. But I want you to I want you to set the scene for people, because I think a lot of times we look at other people and we think, man, their life is perfect. They have it all made up. There's, if I just had XYZ, and I'm gonna tell y'all, most of y'all don't even really want to be in my shoes, because it'd be pure chaos at my house, right? And I literally have to be so strict on myself with my time, else I wouldn't get anything done. So I want you to kind of set that up for us, Destiny.
So I actually just had a baby. So before the baby, what I was doing was there's a 6-step process that I share with my clients that the Lord gave me in prayer that I use. And so I would take that before the Lord and ask the Lord, this is the day that you gave me. What is it that you want me doing today? Because what I've realized was I was doing all this, creating these to-do lists, creating all this stuff that I thought needed to be done. And I ended up working very hard and not getting a lot of it done. And the Lord had a conversation with me in prayer one time, and he said, Destiny, I'm your father, and I'm the one who created the blueprint for you to be what I'm calling you to be. And because of that, you need to just come before me, and I will give you what is to be before you each day. And so I started going before him. And so he would give me maybe 5 things to do instead of 50, but they would all connect together and get all 50 things done. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is super easy. However, when I have my baby now, your expectation can be, okay, I'm going to get this done. And then the baby's like, no, actually you're going to feed me right now. Right. Mm-hmm. So what I've had to learn is what you talked about just a couple of minutes ago, maximizing your time. And my husband is like super strict on time. Like he gets very agitated if you're not on time. And I'm like, oh, whoa. Right. And so what I've learned is the importance of managing your time. So if I am feeding the baby, what can I do with my one hand while I'm holding the baby, right? And a lot of times we're just like, oh, kick your feet up, let them eat, right? No, I have to realize, okay, I didn't do my post today. Let me do that because I know how to do that real quick with one hand. So the importance of maximizing your time, not wasting it. So it goes back to maximizing. But when I say not wasting it, okay, because most people know me as the therapist, they're like, oh, if I got something going on, I can call Destiny. And I'm so helpful that I'm like, oh, let me answer the phone. And then I'll be on the phone for 2 hours. And I had to realize, no, right now, this is my because I have blocks that I work because I want to be able to help my son with virtual learning and dinner and stuff like that. So I have blocks. So I'm like, no, these are my working blocks. Even if I'm sitting here feeding the baby, I'm technically at work, right? So if you worked in a corporate environment, there were blocks where you can pump, and then the rest of the time you got to be on the phone. So learning the importance of maximizing your time and really the things that you don't want to do the most, I realized you have to be willing to do those first. So me, the thing that made me such a procrastinator is if I'm like, that's going to be kind of hard, so let me put that at the end. That's not the best thing to do.
So let me kind of put a pause right there to make sure, because you on a roll. Make sure everyone got that. You dropped some nuggets. You dropped a nugget, and yeah, I'm hard on people because the Lord is hard on me. So I'm probably you got to be ready for me. So I'm just gonna say this. I think a lot of people are lazy. I really do.
Very.
And I say that because I know what I got to do to get the things that I need to get done. Prime example, I've experienced what you've experienced. My very first child I had, I was in the middle of building a tech startup. And in the middle of building that tech startup, I traveled all over the US. It was my first baby. We were still very early stage in our business, and there was no maternity leave. Like, so I remember, y'all know the baby boppy. I would be on a call with the baby propped up on the boppy, nursing in one hand with a laptop with the other hand. Like, that's literally what I had to do. And that was the only way I was going to get stuff done. And similar to what you're saying, Destiny, I mean, I may not be doing that anymore because I've kind of evolved from that. But I will say this, it's oftentimes where I'm having to, for example, I told you we got 4 kids, so it's very busy. And sometimes I don't have that time to really just pray and bask in the Lord like I want to. So you know what I do? I try to use my nursing times as prayer times. It's times to really go before the Lord. So you're going to have to take that time to really evaluate what are you really doing with your time, even if you don't have no time. Okay. So I wanted to reiterate that point. Then the second nugget you dropped, you talked about doing the most difficult thing first versus last. Now I'm about to cut a few of y'all. Some of y'all don't even know what your most difficult thing is because you haven't sat down and made a list, me included. Okay. I'm in the cut list. Okay. So you're just kind of willy-nilly going through things and going through your day, and you haven't really sat down to really think about, okay, I got to do A, B, C, D. You know what? B is really hard. Let me make sure that I do B first. But instead, we just kind of go from one task to the other task, and then we might get stuck on B at about 6, 7 o'clock at night when the kids is hungry, folks, it's time to go to bed, and now you have no focus, no concentration, and you pretty much wasted the rest of the night when you could have knocked B out, and bam, you could have been dead the rest. So I just wanted to make sure we reiterated those points. All right, go ahead, Destiny.
Let's see, some other things that have really, really helped is like you said, I have 2 children. I'm a wife. So now this one has been kind of hard to implement because I like to just one day I'll wake up and be like, oh, I want steak. But really planning your day for me, I do it on Sunday because that's my family day. That's my rest day. So I sit down for the most part and say, okay, this is what we're going to eat for the whole week. Right. And then I go right on Instacart and schedule it to come on Monday morning. And I only get the ingredients that I need for those particular meals. Now, of course, I'll get a little bit of snacks and stuff like that. But that has really helped because now on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I don't have to stop what I'm doing to now go cook dinner to make sure it's done. I do have to go cook it, but I don't have to run to the store if I'm missing something. Like, you have all your ingredients, you know about how long it's going to take. So you can put this on while you're finishing a call or whatever the case may be. So that has helped quite a bit. having a set schedule for your children is kind of hard with a newborn. Well, it is hard for a newborn, but with my 5-year-old, making sure he stays on schedule. Of course, he has his downtime where he can play his video game or he can read his book and all of that. But we try to get him in the bed by 9:30 every night. So you're in the bathtub by 8, we try to follow that, because I know the sooner he gets in bed, the more time I have where I don't have to juggle 2 children if my husband's on a Bible study call or if he's at work, because my husband does travel a lot for work. So it's usually me if my grandmother's not able to help me. So that's something else I do.
So you talked about meal planning, putting your kids on the schedule. You're coming all up in my business because my kids barely have a schedule. And if anybody follows me on my personal Facebook page, I know I can be getting up there at 5 o'clock on the same day talking about what y'all eat for dinner. I need some help. or I'm door dashing. So that is an area that I really need to do. But one of the issues that I've had with time management, and I want y'all to let me know in the comments if you can relate, is managing your time. Like it's like painful for me. Mm-hmm. Like the thought of, because I'm I just like to just go. And I know I'm going to get it done, but sitting down, even I can be more efficient. Right. And sitting down and planning and really sitting up here thinking about this I think it should be built into your time management. Like planning time needs to be built in. And what I felt like, man, I ain't got time to sit down and do all this because I got X, Y, Z. And when in reality, I am like literally planning to fail for the rest of the week or planning to be stressed out. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm a money person. My husband's actually the time person. So what really helped me was looking at time like it was money, because it really is. It's something that you lose and you never get back. So right. you would think you would, he always says you would think you would be more careful with that over money. And one thing that I did Financial Peace University, and Dave Ramsey said, if your money's not allotted, it will be wasted. And I took that and equated it to money. And I looked at my time and I was like, oh my God, I'm wasting a lot of time. Like I'm always saying, I'm so busy. I don't have time to do this. I can't add something else on my plate. But then I look and I'm like you said, I'm scrolling and I know everybody who got engaged, who having a baby, I know everything. Or I'm like, I talked on the phone with my friend and heard her situation for 2 hours. Like, no, you do have time. It's just you're not allocating it appropriately. So what I would say in that instance is, if you're a money person, switch it and look at it that way, because it really allowed me to see I don't want to waste no money, like at all. So when I looked at my time like that, I'm like, okay, so if I have $365 in my account, this is how you allocate it, and that helped. Now I'm gonna be honest, I still waste time sometimes. I'm a girl. I like to be on social media sometimes. I mean, we have to be realistic, and the first thing I would say is give yourself grace. I think what happens, kind of like with exercising, you try to do way too much too soon and then don't do nothing at all. So I would say start small. Like, okay, with writing my book, I'm going to create a schedule as if I'm working a job, right? So if you're only spending time writing your book, you're going to give yourself 8 hours, right? And you're going to give yourself a lunch break and 2 15-minute breaks like you would at work, right? Mm-hmm. If you're doing a part-time of writing your book, you're going to act like you're working a part-time job. Give yourself 1 break and however a part-time job works, and start there and then kind of grow from there.
Those are some good suggestions. Thank you for like basically getting us together, telling us. I'm a money person as well. So really equating it to money, I think really hits home for me. I want to know if any of you guys, while we're kind of talking through this, if any of you guys have any specific questions you want to ask Destiny, go ahead and drop them in the comments, since we have her on this on live today. Okay, so I want to talk about, from a time perspective, let's talk about from a time perspective of relationships and how they affect your time. So one thing that I had to do, and some of you guys may fall into this bunch, was I used to spend a lot of time talking on the phone. Mm-hmm. And that was because, similar to you, I made myself available. I have a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge in a lot of different areas, and people recognize that. Mm-hmm. And so I used to be getting hit up in my messaging inbox. People would text me, people would call me, and then I would find, because I am a talker, if you can't tell, I would find myself, I'm thinking we just finna get on the phone for 5 minutes. And before you know, it's been 2 hours and we have like literally talked half the day away. And what I found was that I had to limit my conversations and start really realizing, like, was I wasting my time on the phone? So I want you to kind of talk to that about managing your time and with mixing it in with your relationships.
So I used to be you. Like I said, I would pick up the phone and, it would start with one question and then it segue into 3 questions about their whole life. So what I had to do is, the first thing, my husband was like I told you, he's a stickler for time. So he would come in and be like, hey, isn't this supposed to be wrapping up? So that's when I started noticing it, because he would be very often at coming and say, hey, I thought you were supposed to start cooking at 7 and now you've been on this phone since 7:30. Till 7:30. So that was the first thing that helped me. But after that, I had to realize my weaknesses, right? So even with my business, I used to have 15-minute consultations, free consultations, and I would take them and I would be on the phone and then it would turn into an actual real session on the phone, right? And so what I ended up doing is I put in place where now you can only talk to me unless you pay, right? I have an application process. I took away the 15-minute free call, because at the end of the day, all you were doing was doing Q&A, and you can send that as a submitted a question through the system, right? So I had to find my weaknesses and know that, okay, Destiny, you're super soft-hearted. So you talk. So when I know certain people call, and I know they're gonna probably talk for a while, just based on our previous experience, I'll text them and say, hey, I'm actually really busy doing some work, because I am. Is everything okay? And then they'll say, oh, I got this going on. And I'll say, okay, I can't talk, but can you send voice notes? Because I know when it comes to text messaging, I'm a little bit slower at responding. So if you send a voice note, I'll kind of respond quick but still get back to work. So I had to create boundaries and barriers so that I wouldn't fall into the trap. I guess that was what helped me a lot.
Okay. I think that's good. So how many of you guys can relate to what Destiny was talking about in the comments? Let us know if you have found yourself just kind of talking with people. And this is really good nuggets for business owners. So I did the same thing. It's so funny. Our lives are so parallel. I did the same thing. We were just talking about this before we came on live. I had to take those 15-minute consultations off, because what I found was, first of all, a lot of people, if they were really serious, the conversations were different, right? And so when I did that, I found that you really wanted a 15-minute consultation, or you masked it. And when I say you, people masked it as a 15-minute conversation, but they just wanted to talk to the profit. They want to come tell me their whole life. And like, I'm sitting up here thinking, you better ask me about publishing consultations, and you better tell me your whole life story. And my brain is not even thinking about ministry or prophesying to you or anything. I'm like, what?
Right.
and so then it can cause, when you don't properly manage your time and with your relationships with time, it can cause other people to feel really dropped. It can hurt their feelings. And so you have to be able to set those time boundaries in advance. So I want to ask you a question as it pertains to writing a book, because mostly everybody on here is currently writing a book. So let's talk about managing time when it comes to writing a book, even from the relationship aspect, just from your business, your job, your children, your family. Let's talk about that.
So for me, when I wrote the first book, that my story is very similar to yours, as the Lord, he called me out of corporate, and the first thing he had me do was write a book. So I had a lot of free time because I had just left my job. So that was technically my job, writing the book at that time. This time around, I have a business, I have children, I have a husband, that whole thing. So if I can be completely honest, the majority of my book writing happens at night. So what I do is in business, I create these 90-day sprints. So and usually the Lord will instruct me of when it happens. So this time around, he said from August through October, that's my 90-day sprint. So that's when I have to be willing to stay up a little later. I have to be willing to wake up a little earlier. And really, I know once my house is down, and they're usually down around 9:30, 10, that's Destiny's time. So the Lord, also, when I wrote my first book, he instructed me to write a book writing playlist. And what that does is it really creates the atmosphere so the Holy Spirit can take over, because writing a book that God instructed you to write should be an encounter with Christ. He's the one who's downloading. He's the one who's writing it. So what better time to have worship than when your whole house is quiet and you're by yourself in your space and writing that book. So it's usually at night for me when I've been writing this book. It's been at night where I've just been staying up a little bit later and really allowing that playlist to play, because it takes me I think the playlist takes me to about 3 hours, and really just allow the Holy Spirit to operate in that space at that particular time. That's what's worked this time.
Okay, so one thing I want to mention is, and we talked about this earlier, but I'm gonna tie it all in, about you having an encounter with God when writing. I think that's so important, because I always talk about how God is the creator of everything, of the universe, of your creativity. Our Father is the creator of your creativity. And so when you are pulling on your creativity, you are tapping into our Father, right? So I'm glad you mentioned that. Another thing I want to talk about is when it comes to time management. And I do have a question that I'm going to get to in just a minute. Carlisha, I see your question. That's a really good question. When it comes to time management, is realizing that you literally, y'all, you can go ask God for more time. I know there's scripture. I don't know it by heart, but you can ask God for time. So what does that mean? Well, for me, it's going to show up in different ways. For me, when I ask God for more time, it typically manifests itself in I'm able to do a whole lot in a short amount of time. So like even today, I had an encounter with God where I had to write some things, and I knew that I was only going to have like about an hour or so to go in and write. And so I was like, God, I really need you to show up. Look, you said I need to do this. And if you need me to do this, then I need you to slow down time, speed me up, whatever we got to do, make it such that I have everything that I need. And what I literally saw, what would happen is I got in there, the resources I need, all the ideas, they flow so quickly and so fast, because I went to my Father, who is the Father of time, and I made a petition and a request to him, asking that he give me more time and allow me to do things and more things in a little bit of time. And so one of the anointings that I have on my life, and I don't know what it's going to be like when I get time management down, is to do things quickly. So that's why you'll see things like I do 7-day challenges. I do 21-day boot camps. Like God always deals with me in a matter of time. And so those are like my sprints. My sprints be like 5 milliseconds. But so when I come and I make up my mind that, you know what, I'm going to have this done, or we're going to get this done in 7 days, I go to the Father and I'm like, God, how do we get this done in 7 days? How do I, when I go to bed, I have everything that I need done on my list done? It's because I petition our Father. So I just want to make sure we touched on that. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that. If not, I'm going to go to Carlisha's question.
Oh, no, I would definitely agree with that, which is why the going before him at the beginning of every day and just asking what is it that he wants you to be doing is the most pertinent thing, because he will give you that download of what to do, but also the detail of how to get it done. And like I said, when you do it his way, it just flows. Like you said, it flows so easily, and you'll be surprised. Like there was one time he wanted me to go live at a particular time, and I was like, Lord, this is kind of an awkward time. Like nobody's going to be on there, and he wanted me to offer positions for something I was offering, and the 2 people that he said would fill the spot were on that live. So when you do it the way he's telling you to do it, it really does just work out beautifully and easy. It makes it a lot easier.
Thank you for saying it. Okay, so Carlisha had a good question, and I don't know if it's not going. Oh, it did all show up here. She says, what if this is your husband? My husband loves to call me in the middle of doing things from work. I don't mind, but I get off track when he wants to talk. How do we manage the love and dependable relationship? So Destiny, do you have a response for that or any suggestions for Carlisha's question?
Yes. So my husband is always on me about being on the phone with somebody too long, but he'll be the one who calls me. And then I'm like, I'm kind of trying to finish this. And he's like, oh, so you don't want to talk to me? So what we have done, is what we try to do is in the beginning of the day, he'll say, send me your schedule. So I'll send him a copy of my schedule, and I'll tell him like, well, this says 2 to 4 open, but I'm planning on actually doing this during that time, cleaning the house or whatever. And so he has my schedule in front of him. And so he calls when it says I'm open. So that has really helped us in our house, because then he's not feeling like I'm pushing him off the phone, especially if he sees me on the phone with somebody else for 2 hours, it'll create conflict. So just giving him my schedule, letting him know, just like you would at work. If you worked a corporate job, he can't just call when he wants to, right? You got to be like, my lunch is at this time or my break is at that time. So really equating those two really helps.
That's so good. So yeah, that was a really good question. And I think it's even more important that you do that now, since a lot of us are home because of the pandemic. We're working from home. So those boundaries get crossed. Like I know with my kids, they just think that I just, I live for them, which I do, but I'm there, that they run me, that, what I'm saying, they my boss. And right. I'm on their time. Right. Because they're seeing me all the time. There is no break from us seeing. So they don't seeing each other. So they don't even understand anything about time as it pertains to how we're supposed to use it. So I think I really like the suggestion of just sharing your schedule, not only depending upon how old your kids are, with your children too, with your spouse, with your children. Maybe have something on a dry erase board, right? That talks about what you have going on for the day that everybody can see, so they know, okay, between the hours of 3 and 5, mommy's busy or daddy's busy or mommy's writing. And for some of you that are on the writing parties, this would have been a good time for you to say, you know what, between 8 and 10, I'm on a writing party. I'm writing my book. So you want to go ahead and establish those things in advance. So anybody else have any questions? Those were some. Nadia says, I'm not married, but I will take that knowledge. That's a good idea. Thanks. Let's see. Carlisha says, my husband would try. He calls whenever. LOL. Thank you. I would try that. And you know what? Sometimes, man, men, they mean well. Like he really want to talk to you, but in their mind, there's nothing more important than them at that moment. And so if you can gently remind him, like sometimes I have to remind my husband, this is how I make my money. Right. Like this is how I help feed our family. This is how I pay bills. So maybe it doesn't look like, and this is for a lot of entrepreneurs or mompreneurs like myself, maybe it doesn't look like I'm logging in someplace and I have to stay stationary. But at the end of the day, I still need my time and I need to schedule my time. It's just as important as what you're doing. So I think that's really good.
To piggyback off of that, it's gonna be I realized my husband took what I did more seriously when I took it seriously, right? So when I wasn't running last minute to get prepared for an interview, or I wasn't when he saw I was taking seriously what I was doing, he took it more seriously. So that would be my advice too. If he feels like he can just call anytime, what are you showing him when you think you're not showing him something? Because he's watching you and he's seeing how serious you are about what you're doing, and that's going to be how he responds. That was to I think you said her name was Carlisha. So if he just calls when he wants to, ask yourself, when he's around and you think he's not watching, what are you portraying about your business then? That he's probably like, oh, she don't take it serious anyway, so I can call her whenever.
That's good. So someone just said it works for children too. You have to let them know. Let me see if I can show this. It works for children too. You have to let them know you are trying to accomplish something exciting and get to them as soon as you take a break, unless it's urgent, of course. So I think that's really good. My kids, they'll tell you, they always be talking about, are you going to go work at Beyond the Book Media? I love the way they say it, y'all. It's so cute. But they understand that this is mommy's job. And so I take it very seriously. So I want you to think about that with your books, right? If you're just being all willy-nilly about your book, oh, I just finished this little book, I'm just working on this little book, I'm just writing this little book. No, if you say, you know what, husband, wife, partner, children, I'm working on a book. Mommy, daddy's working on a book. This is very important to me. I want to finish it in this amount of time. I really need you guys to partner with me and help me write it. And the way you help me write it is by giving me the time and the space to be able to do that. So we have a question from Brittany Bush. She's asking, I would like to know how to switch my mind from work, military, to working on my book or other personal goals. And I absolutely think this is a time management question as well. So what would you say?
I won't say it's hard, but to switch your mind from work to working on your book, I would say make sure you don't try to jump right into it. You want to have a decompressed moment. So my family, of course, weather permitted, what we try to do is when my husband comes home and my son, they come home together, we try to do a walk around the neighborhood as a family, right? Just one block around the neighborhood, but we're talking about our day. We're just, you get to decompress. If you go from work to try to write your book, you didn't separate the two. You're kind of putting them together. So I would definitely say have a decompress moment where you just kind of take a moment, breathe, and then go into it. Also, just implementing the playlist, right? Having an encounter with the Lord, allowing Him to take over, because then you're not really thinking as much because He's actually doing all the work for you. So that would be what I would say.
So that's really good. I believe as part of your scheduling, as part of your time management, we need to manage in our breaks, manage in our transition moments. That's what I would call that. I would call that a transition moment when you are getting ready to transition from one thing to the next, and it's going to require a different level from you, or for your head to be in a different space. So you may not want to jump straight into writing. You may, like she said, want to take a few minutes when you settle down, listen to some music, worship, pray. Sometimes my transition moments, if I'm watching Ratchet TV or something that my brain can turn off for a few minutes, 30 minutes or so to an hour, and then I can cut my brain back on and be ready for the next transition. So I think that was really good. So Ramonda, I'm sorry if I'm not saying it correctly, transition for about 10 to 15 minutes before you put on a different hat. So I think that's really, really good. They want to know what's on your playlist, Carlisha. You got to go on Write With Me and share this book writing playlist. You have referenced it several times.
Let's see. I know on this one, "Move" by Tasha Cobb is like one that I have to play a lot because that song specifically says it's not about your own agenda, and that's really important. Like, move out of the way. So that one's on there. But yeah, I can definitely share it. It's no problem.
Yes. So, okay, I'm going to give you guys something that I do for when I'm trying to get stuff done. I have a hype up song. Now, hey, y'all, I know I'm a minister, I know I'm a prophetess, whatever you want to call it, but listen, I love ratchet music. Don't nothing get me more hype than listening to some ratchet music. Now, and what I mean by that, you got to find your thing, what that looks for you. So I have a song that I start listening to that really it ministers to me in a different type of way. It brings out the boss, the hustler, the future billionaire, right? The leader. It brings that out of me. And so when I listen to that, when I'm feeling like, you know what, I don't feel like doing nothing. I don't want to roll up out that bed. I turn that song on and I'm like, hey, okay, I'm ready to start my day. Listen, look, I gotta get these goals. I gotta make this bread. I gotta take care of my family. We gotta eat. We got a house we trying to buy. I got some Louis bags. I'm trying to I got some red bottoms. I'm trying to wear, right? I got a mansion. I'm trying to come down the stairs. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything I don't have anything against gospel or Christian or contemporary Christian music, because I love that. But I'm just telling you what I do. So maybe you need to get you a good hype song to hype you up, to get you motivated to start working on those things. All right. Do we have any questions? What I am not telling y'all what song it is, because no. Y'all ain't gonna be going around listening talking about the prophetess said y'all ain't about to do me like that. Yeah, you just go find your own. Go find your own. Y'all gotta go find your own song. Listen, ask the Lord to show. And I really believe it or not, I believe that God showed me that song. I was by myself in my car and the song came on the radio, and I don't even listen to the radio. And I started hearing it. I was like, I'm gonna ride. How let's go make some money like that. That's for me. So someone asked, is it big? No, it's not Beyonce. I said the song is ratchet. I don't think Beyonce ratchet. Like I'm talking about some hood ratchet. They talking about they about to go make some bread. They they bossing up. They got Lambos and cars and jets. I'm talking about that. That's what I need, because I, as a result, as a byproduct of being obedient to God and having His heart, I believe that the Lord is going to bless me with riches and wealth of this earth. That's all. You're ready for that conversation.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So
Yes,
I like to put things in my mind that remind me of the wealth and riches that I'm going to have. All right. That's enough about that. So Veronica has a good question. I'm going to put her up, put this up there. Veronica says, what's a good schedule for writing? Okay. So we transition back.
I would say for me, like I said, for the first book, because I was technically, that was replacing my job. I wrote like I was working. So I started at 8 in the morning. I worked until my regular break would be at my corporate job. And so that really worked for me. Now with this one, I realized because it is a lot of internal work happening with this one, I have to have a little bit more break. So I might write down the pain points of a chapter. So this book is actually about my marriage, and the importance of dealing with things prior to getting married, so you don't bring it into your marriage. And so he was taking me through my life with my fathers and my ex-boyfriends. And so for each person, I had to break down the pain points that were going to come from each chapter. Take a minute from that and then come back and kind of write. So it depends. I would say it depends on what you're writing about. But that has helped a lot this time.
That's good. So I think you brought up a point that actually hasn't ever been mentioned in this capacity of time management, was the fact that you have to like schedule out time for you to kind of go through, for you to actually process the information and process the story. And I think that has a lot to do with some of the stories that you guys are writing. If you're writing very personal memoirs, giving yourself that time. So guess what that means? That means maybe you scheduled out 2 hours to write, but maybe you need to schedule out 3 hours. Maybe that hour is you worshiping. That hour is you really just undoing yourself and allowing Holy Spirit to minister to you, to heal, for you to be able to process. So I want you guys to think about that from that perspective of like, you really need to be mindful of all the things that actually take place. And this leads me into a really good point too. And if you guys have any other questions, you can go ahead and drop them while we are on. This leads me to another point. Being realistic with your time, right? Some of us try to do too much or plan for too much without really thinking about, is this really possible? Like you start setting unrealistic dates. And now let's talk about as it pertains to books. And I get this all the time as a publisher. People come to us and they want their book published, written, edited and published in like 3-4 weeks. And that's nearly impossible for it to be at the quality that you would want to put it out. And so we want to rush things and rush the God's timing. And one thing that I learned, 2 things I learned from time, Nikisa always be repeating my words. If you ain't got no money, you got time, right? So, like for real, if you ain't got no money, you got time. Right. So you gotta think like, so that's the one thing. So understanding that you probably really do have time. And the next thing, also understanding that you can't manipulate time for selfish motives or for selfish gain. One thing the Lord had to check me on was I had a spirit of poverty tied to my time. So whenever things would be presented or whenever I had opportunities, I wanted to speed them up, or I wanted to hurry up and be in a rush to put something out because I thought that this thing was going to be the thing to solve all my problems. So let's say I was launching a new product or something. I want this product to come out as fast as possible. And therefore I'm putting stress on myself, stress on my family, and I'm tapping into stuff that God didn't ordain because I did not properly manage the moments and properly manage my time. And so that's one thing that I speak on often when I talk to people who are launching products or people who are launching books, is that you have time. Take your time. And when I started doing it, that has been the biggest weight lifted off of me to understand that it's not my responsibility to provide for myself. Like, God is a God of provision, and he also provides the time. So I don't have to speed up time in hopes to do God's job for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know, have you ever experienced anything like that where you wanted to speed up time to like meet a motive, and God's like, I didn't even tell you to do all that?
Yeah, when I first left my corporate job, I was like, Lord, you had me leave. You haven't really given me any direction to how I'm going to make income. And we got real bills. We battled infertility, and I went into a lot of debt for that in the beginning. And so I was just trying to like, oh, well, he told me to make these t-shirts. Maybe I need to put them out now. And he was like, no, that's actually supposed to go with the book, and you're not done with the book. So pull that back. So there was a lot of stuff where I felt like I did these soft launches and then they didn't go nowhere because he's like, you're doing way too much. So absolutely.
That's so good. So hopefully you guys caught that. A lot of times we don't put a lot of pressure and a lot of frustration because we try to speed up or rush God's timing. We didn't properly manage our time. We wanted to put things out there that it's not even the season or the right timing yet. And then we go get mad at God. We launch products, we launch books. First of all, some of y'all writing the wrong books. I'm just going to put that out there. And we write books that God never told us to write. We launch products that God never told us to write. We do things that God never told us to do. And then we get mad when don't nobody buy. When we didn't get the support we thought we were going to get. When it was just like, okay, God, you have me write this, but am I really supposed to start selling this? Is this the time that I'm supposed to put this out there? And you will know, because I have an experience, and I want to know if any of you guys have ever experienced that. I had an experience most recently. My book printer just sent me back a sample of my journal. So I am launching a prophetic journal called God Bless the Scribe, and it is a prophetic journal for people to hear the voice of God for their business. And I started writing that. That is literally the book that started right with me in 2019, in February 2019. Now I started writing that book and I needed help. So that's how I was like, hey, y'all want to come write your book with me? That's hit right with me. And I stopped writing it. Like I stopped because the Lord was like, nah, you need to chill out. Like you good. So I put a pause on that book and I built up Beyond the Book Media and I started helping other people write and publish books. Well, this past April, y'all, the Lord said, all right, I want you to pick that back up again. Yeah, I finished that. I finished the rest of it in like a day, literally in some hours. I had about 60% of it done. And now we're looking at, what is it? We're in September. My book is done. It's published for the most part. It's not available for sale publicly yet. And I'm still not rushing God. God said you can launch this on Black Friday.
Right.
So we got something that the Lord first gave me a vision for in the beginning of 2019 that's not coming to fruition until the end of 2020. Now, if I had been in such a rush and didn't understand like God's timing for things, I wouldn't have tried to put out something prematurely. But see, what God had to do was he had to develop me. And at this time, I got ordained as a prophet, right? He had to establish me as a prophetic voice, as a prophet, as someone who can speak on business. I now give prophetic words every month for business owners. It was so much processing that went in between that. So now there's so much credibility and confidence attached to when I launch this because I know it's solid. But let's say if I would have tried to speed that thing up to hurry up, try to make some money or some quick cash, it wouldn't be as effective as it's going to be towards the end of the year when we launch. So I'm like super excited about that. All right, let me look through these comments. Anybody else have any questions, any comments? Because we are towards the end, and I don't know, Destiny. We're gonna loop back in, and I'll tell them how they can connect with you in just a moment. But while we're waiting on questions, do you have anything you want to add, or anything you want to kind of share from time management and productivity?
I would just say, to piggyback off what you said, a lot of times we try to look at God, I say this to my clients, in a lateral way, and that's our problem. So we think if God says sow this money in somebody's house, He's gonna give it back to your mortgage. Like, that's not how God works. So a lot of times God has us do something, but that's just to prepare us for the foundation. Like you said, He told you to write that book back then, but that was really to get you started for Write With Me. Not necessarily to finish that book, but to put yourself out there and get people along and kind of start that first challenge. Like, so with me, when I left corporate, the Lord told me to start going live and pray for people. And I was like, this is not going to go nowhere. Lord, why you have me quit my job to do this? Like, it just don't make no sense. And it did not make sense that He had me praying at 10 o'clock at night, but He had me leave my job where I was working 8 to 4:30. Like, it just didn't make sense. But it did make sense because He knew what He had to do in me in the beginning of the day to prepare for night prayer. He just knows. So a lot of times we question God, or we want it to look a certain way instead of just being obedient. I always say we spend so much time trying to do God's job that we don't do our own job, and we end up getting fired. Let God be God. If He just said to be here, if He just said to go live at 8, if He just said to start the book, that's all you need to do, and stop saying, well, who's going to buy it? Nobody's going to want to buy it. That's not your job. His job is to bring the people. His job is to know who it's for. Even if He has you writing a whole book for one person, that's all that matters. Just do it.
Yes. So thank you. This has been so amazing. I pray that you guys have gotten some good nuggets. So for those of you who are interested in connecting with a prayer pist, right? She's going to get your life right. She's going to help you tap into what God has to say about your life, your journey, your business, whatever it is that you need through prayer, because that is how we connect with God, is through prayer. If anybody tells you otherwise, they a lie. Okay.
Right.
We don't need to charge no crystals or no stones.
Right.
Turn no sage. You don't need to sprinkle no water. You don't need to turn around in 5 circles. You just got to just go to the Lord. And, okay. All right. So we thank you, Destiny. She is on Facebook, Destiny Thomas and Realizing Destiny. On Instagram, she is Realizing Destiny. Let me drop this in the comment. And do you have a website that people can connect with you on and learn more about Prayer P and whatever and all the other things that you offer?
Yes, ma'am. It's realizingdestiny.com.
Okay, perfect. Realize. Okay. All right, we can do that. Let me go ahead and just copy and paste this. And anybody have any last minute questions before we do our church announcements? And while we're waiting for that, tonight, y'all, we are on day 5 of the writing party. It starts in about 4 minutes. We're going to be off in enough time. Make sure you get to the writing party. Even if you have not started your writing journey with us, if you're just now joining us, you can join our challenge at yourbrandneedsabook.com. And you can get the link to join the writing party. Go ahead and join. We write together from 8 to 10. Again, that's time blocking, committing to writing your book. We have tons of women and men that join us, so you're not writing alone. We have writing coaches that are going to be on there. I forgot exactly who's on tonight, but we have 2 amazing writing coaches and a moderator there that are going to be there to help guide you through the process. I want to know if anybody in the comments has attended the writing party. Let us know. Let them know. Tell them to come on. Tell them about your experience. Like, let people know that this is the real deal, that people are actually writing their books and we're writing it together in community. There is a corporate anointing, right? You know how you can literally be in proximity of a thing and catch the anointing that is on someone, right? And things that you didn't have, things that you wanted, that you prayed for, but just by being in proximity, you can get the healing, you can get the impartation, you can get delivered, you can get the things that you need. So y'all need to make sure y'all come on in to the writing party. The links are sent out via email. And tomorrow, y'all, let's shout out morning prayer. Come on, morning prayer has been everything. We see God every morning at 6 o'clock inside Right with me. And that has just been an awesome experience. So set your alarm clock, meet us in Right with me at 6 o'clock. And then, of course, at 12 o'clock, we have the question of the day. We've been giving away great prizes. All you have to do is go and write with me and answer the question at 12 o'clock for your chance to win prizes. And then, of course, we're back here again tomorrow night on Saturday at 7. What I will say is this: we're going into the weekend. If you don't work, I know we have group writing times from 8 to 10, but if you don't have to work tomorrow, spend that time writing, get caught up. If you've fallen behind, I know life happens. Get caught up. Use Saturday during the day before we come back together in the evening at 7. Use that time to get caught up and to finish your writing. And finally, some of y'all should be finished by now. If you finish your manuscript and that you've been working on, go ahead and let us know so we can shout you out. We have a special graphic that we create for you for those who finish your manuscripts in 7 days. So don't be shy. Don't be scared. Let us know. All right, Destiny, did I do you any justice? Is there anything else you want to cover that I may have missed?
No, you did great. Thank you so much for having me again.
All right. Thank you, guys. You have a wonderful night. We love you. See you guys in the writing party now. So go on over there. Good night.